What's up, people? Back on Leaf here. This is episode 111. This will be probably a shorter one, I think, or possibly a longer one. Depends on how I ultimately end up playing that. Let's see. Last video, I killed some dorks again and did not get that stupid skirt. We're going to take a break from that because I feel like that's probably mind-numbingly boring, but that was also a short video, too. And before that, I did some dragon killing up in Drashia, actually. I will do that again. Not dragons specifically in Drashia, but I will do, killing monsters that aren't task monsters or aren't giving me something specifically I need. However, I'm not doing that today, and I'm not going to... I did not know I could do that. Oh, look at that. Is that new? That's cool. Didn't know that exists. All right. Yeah, so today, though, we are back to tasking. I'm here to go kill some ancient scarabs. The interesting thing to note here with these ancient scarabs, though, is I'm only going to be killing them for a couple of minutes, if that, because somehow I left with 243 out of 250 last time I tasked these guys. I'm not sure how exactly that happened. So I am going to go kill those remaining 7, and then I'll be on my way to Ramoa for some Bone Beast tasking. And then after that, for the next video, I will be continuing some quests that I've been working on. But yeah, for now, we're going back to tasking. Like I said, I will come back and touch upon, or, once again, hunt monsters that aren't task monsters. But because I don't want to do that too much, I want to focus on the task monsters, because that's kind of where the money's at. And also feeds my, my OCD need for, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I will come back to those, just not right away, because I want to kind of interspace them between my videos and stuff like that. But like I said, this one we're just here for these 7 ancient scarabs, and then we're going to go to Ramoa for some bone beasts, which was not one of my favorite spots, let me tell you. So my topic of conversation today is kind of, it's 2 topics in one, which is usually how I ramble and go off on tangents, but I'm almost positive I've mentioned this in one of my recent videos, but I did reclaim my Puzzles and Dragons account, which I strongly suggest everybody should play. It's a mobile game for the cell phone. I know it exists on an iPad, and I know it exists on newer model Kindles, but not older model Kindles. I have the, the original Kindle Fire, and it does not work on my Kindle Fire. But it does work on my cousin's Kindle, and I don't know what particular model of Kindle he has, but suffice to say, it works. Crap. I wanted to finish off that one. Jeez, really? Another scorpion? Did I get super poisoned? I got super poisoned from the scorpion. Check that out. So yeah, I reclaimed my Puzzles and Dragons account. It is a, technically I guess you would call it a match 3 game. Something like Bejeweled, if everybody knows what that is. I would imagine most people do. There are, 6 primary orb types: Dark Light, Wood, Fire, and Water. And then Heal Orbs. So basically, to, real quick give an explanation of how the game works. You go in and you have a team of 5 monsters that you take in, essentially. So just to make it in Tibia terms, you go in and your first monster is your leader, okay? And your leader provides an effect for your whole team. So in Tibia terms, my leader is going to be Ancient Scarabs, okay? And Ancient Scarabs have an effect that says all Earth-type monsters get 2 times attack and 2 times HP, okay? Relatively simple effect. So then I've got a Giant Spider on my team, who's an Earth-type monster, so he gets his scrap multiplied. I've got a Hydra on my team, that's an Earth-type monster, so he gets his scrap multiplied. My team also consists of a Poison Spider, and that is an Earth-type monster, so he gets his crap multiplied. And my team also, let's say, has a Stone Golem, and then my team also has a Undead Dragon, and he is not Earth-type, so his crap does not get multiplied. So anyway, you got your 5 monsters, and you also take a Friends leader in. So it's not actually your monster, but you're teaming up with your friend, and I'm not paying any attention and walking next to an Ancient Scarab. Look at that. How badly poisoned am I? Okay, not badly. So your friend leader, though, gives you their leader skill also. So if I take a second Ancient Scarab leader in, my friend has the same monster, we'll say, I would get ×4 ×4 to the 2 stats I said. But if I took in a Giant Spider friend, and the Giant Spider says your team gets Earth-type monsters get 3 times attack, I would get the 2 times attack from my Ancient Scarab and the 3 times attack from his, giving me 6 times attack and 2 times HP. Relatively simple concept, right? So anyway, your monsters all have an element. Mine were all Earth types, which I guess would be similar to Wood type in actual Puzzles and Dragons. So when you match a set of Wood orbs, all of your Wood type monsters attack, and all of your monsters have a basic attack value that then gets multiplied by the leader skills, and they attack and they damage the enemy. And like Wood does double damage against water types, but it does reduce damage against fire types, and basic Pokemon. Why am I not attacking that? That was really weird. Basic Pokemon like elemental resistances and stuff like that. Dark is strong against light, and light is strong against dark, and they're not weak against anybody else. The other 3 go in a circle. Basic, simple stuff. It's not too complicated. The trick is like, you got to get your teams together with the monsters that you have, and also all of your monsters have active skills too that are on different cooldown timers and do various different things and stuff. So to actually talk real Puzzles and Dragons, when I first started to play, and this was a long time ago, almost. Well, all right. Let's put it this way. Puzzles and Dragons gives you an award every 50 days or something, and other certain days are special anniversaries. So I actually just hit my 1,000 day anniversary. So I've been playing for 1,007 days or something like that at this point, which is crazy, I suppose. But anyway, I think this is my last Ancient Scarab too. So my original team was an Odin team. Specifically, it was called a Green Odin team. At the time, there was a second Odin. He was blue. Now there's a third Odin, a Red Odin also. But nobody used Blue Odin back then, really. And obviously nobody used the Red Odin because he didn't exist. Killing in the name of... Yep, we're done here. Alright, so now we're off to Roma. So yeah, I used Green Odin when I first started to start, and Green Odin's leader skill said reduce incoming damage by 80% when you have full HP. So it's a really powerful shield for one specific attack. And then his activated skill was on a 17-turn clock or something like that, and it shot out a powerful attack at one enemy. The trick of Odin was an 80% reduction in damage is huge and can allow you to survive most things. But if 2 enemies are attacking at the same time, the first one will hit you, the damage will get reduced, but then you won't have full HP any longer. So the second one will hit you for full damage. And certain monsters have what's called a multi-attack, where instead of them punching you once, one huge punch, it's multiple light jabs kind of thing. So if you have an enemy that, each turn it does a grand total of 20,000 damage, but it does that in 5 hits of, 4,000 each or something like that. Only the first one would get reduced, and then the other 4 would go in full and stuff like that. So that was my original team. I had a Green Odin team, and now the game is vastly different. Odin himself actually got various buffs over the time, and is a better monster, but he's still only useful really that early on in the game. He's not a top tier lead like he used to be. For a second, I forgot how to get to Ramoa. I was I'm going to Ramoa. Can I just boat directly to Ramoa? Is that how that works? What town is Ramoa connected to? And then I was wait. Alright, wait. Liberty Bay. So anyway, I started playing Puzzles and Dragons again. I've been into it. When I stopped playing about a little bit more than a year ago, I guess at this point, I was one of the top North American players, actually. I'm not anymore. Although I had a really good foundation, and I kept a whole bunch of my monsters that weren't all that good then, because I had collector OCD need. Liberty Bay. So a lot of those monsters got like, you know, new forms or buffed and stuff like that. So I'm quickly reclaiming my my position as like top tier. Not the highest, but I'm close. I'm not sure why I'm walking to the town. I don't know what I'm doing. All right. But yeah, so like I started playing, got a whole bunch of teams. I love the game. I suggest anybody to get into it. There are 3 servers. There's a European server, a North American server, and a Japanese server. Groma. Yes. So yeah, like I said, I suggest people to give it a try. If anybody's interested, you can, and you play on the North American server, you can friend me, and then you can take my monsters in and stuff like that, which is cool. But if anybody starts playing, I don't want to like actually just throw out my my pad ID number here just in case. But if anybody does start playing, like message me or leave a comment on one of my YouTube videos, and then I'll send you the the ID number that way. But yeah, if you are gonna play, I would suggest. I know like half of my viewers are from Europe, but I would suggest not playing on the European server. Because the European server does not get as much love as the North American server, which is saying something because the North American server gets nowhere near as much love as the Japanese server. If you speak Japanese, I would say play the Japanese server. In fact, even if you don't speak Japanese, I'd still almost suggest play the Japanese server. Good God. Yeah, that stairwell is always just a joy, let me tell you. Let's actually let's focus on the injured one first. There we go. You know, I don't normally run them like I did this time, and usually I think I take a lot more damage by not running them. So I think running them is the correct choice here, it looks like. I don't remember that they have range attacks and that the range attacks actually are like relevant. Just because you know, they're far away from me doesn't mean I can just like stop paying attention to them, kind of thing. Or paying attention to my health, I should say. There we go, got rid of the scorpion. Leveled up too. Nice. You know what's annoying actually about that level up, I'll be honest? I just got off my lazy butt and finally changed my little level up and skill banner down there. I'll be honest, that's a little annoying. I'm a little annoyed right now. It's, for the longest time it said I was level 61 and now I just hit 65, but the skills were wrong on it, the magic level was wrong on it. I mean, the skills were both off by 1. And the magic level was also off by 1, but still. I finally got around to fixing that, and boom, leveled up. At least none of my skills are close to leveling. There we go. Alright, well, that was some disappointing loot for sure. Anyway, yeah, so the European server is always... First of all, alright, let's talk about the North American server. The Japanese server gets the new content far more, like, they get the new content immediately. Like, new content is teased, and then new content comes out on the Japanese server, like, within a week to 2 weeks. And then new content comes out on the North American server, like, 3 months later. And then the new content comes out on the European server a month later. So the European server is 4 months behind the Japanese server, and about 1 month behind the American server. The Japanese server also gets like more freebies and giveaways and stuff like that. It is a like a microtransaction game, sort of. You can play it without spending any money on it, for instance. Okay. Now I initially spent a large amount of money on it, which was a horrible. That's actually a story I'll get into. But you can definitely play Puzzles and Dragons without spending any money on it, or spending a very small amount of money. Because they're very generous with giving you the in-game currency. So like right now there's an event, and I think you get like $2 worth of the in-game currency every day, and then that event will run for like 2 weeks, and then there'll be like one day where the next event isn't running, and then they'll just immediately go into the next event. So you do get a decent amount of the in-game currency. You need $5 worth of the in-game currency to roll on the machine that gives you a random monster and stuff like that. And the in-game currency can also be used for like continuing in a dungeon if you died, or refreshing your stamina. But the stamina regenerates 1 every 3 minutes, which I'll tell you something else. When I first started to play, it was 1 stamina regenerating every 10 minutes. 10 minutes, guys. Now it's once every 3 minutes. So yeah, there's that. But anyway, so you do get a bunch of stuff, but they're usually a little bit more generous to the Japanese server, and in addition to just the free currency, there's things like free monsters that like enhance your things and stuff like that, that the Japanese server also gets more of. So, like even a lot of people in North America, they actually play on the Japanese server because like you find the basically the client itself doesn't really give you that much information that you can't just find on the internet. Like, the client will tell you the stats of the monster you're looking at, but like numbers are the same in both languages. Whoops. So I mean, like, you don't need to be like, I don't know what this Japanese 7 is. It's still just a 7. But like the activated abilities or what the leader skill is of a monster, you just kind of find on the internet. So a lot of people play on the Japanese server. If I wasn't already like heavily invested on the North American server, I would probably have switched. Of course, I am, as I said, heavily invested, so I can't. But yeah, I mean, you know, it also at this point in time, for me at least, besides like new monsters and stuff, me not knowing what they do, and you need to look them up. I have basically, like, I know my way around the client and everything, that I don't need it to be in English any longer. I could easily play on the Japanese client. But like I said, you can't transfer my account or anything like that, so I'd lose all of my current progress, which is not an option for me. But yeah, for anybody who's like starting new, I mean, I probably wouldn't suggest playing it in a language you don't know unless you feel up to that. So, I mean, I would suggest play on the North American server over the other one. I mean, obviously, if you don't speak English and you speak like German or something, you might as well just play it on the Japanese server. I would still play it on the Japanese server before I played it on the European server. European server gets no love. Anyways, now that I've gone over that, it is a really fun game. I don't know why I went to the water elementals again, because I know this is a mistake. Even worse, I don't even have a fishing rod, so I can't even fish them for the extra loot. It is a really fun game. It has that like collection thing, so you can, you know, be like, I gotta get all the monsters. It does do a cool thing. It's called Puzzles and Dragons, and dragons do exist in the game, but they're definitely not the most prominent monsters. The most prominent monsters all fall under the god category. So the way they handle it is they do like pantheons of gods, right? So, paralyzed. Why am I still not attacking? First of all, why am I sucking so much? Let's go with that. And now let's focus on the whatchamacallit. There we go. So like Odin, for anybody who knows, is like the Norse god of like wisdom, and he's like basically the leader of the pantheon. When I first started to play, there was only like 5 or 6 pantheons actually. So like the first pantheon that existed was the Greco-Roman first pantheon. It contained, let's see, the red one was Minerva, the blue one was Neptune, the green one was Ceres, the black one was Hades, and the light one was Venus. That's like another weird one where I felt like I was not attacking at the rate I should have been attacking. Strange. and not go too far south because I don't want to run into the elementals. And then there was the Greco-Roman second series, where it was Apollo for light, Persephone for dark. I was not expecting you to respawn that fast, friend. Persephone for dark, Ares for red, Artemis for green, and Hermes for blue. And then there was there was a Norse pantheon. I'm sorry, not North. There was a Norse. I'm falling apart. There was a Norse pantheon, which was Loki for dark, Thor for light, Freyr for red, Freya for green, and who was blue? Idun and Iduna were blue, actually. Twins. I think they had an Indian series gods, so Shiva was red. I'm actually recalling this more for my own sake of seeing if I can recall it rather than it's important information, but Shiva was red. It was blue. Parvati was blue. Or was Parvati green? No, Parvati was green, Lakshmi was blue, Indra was light, and Vitra was black. That's it. And they had a Japanese pantheon. Yeah, they definitely had the Japanese pantheon when I first started playing. Ooh, I forgot I could do that. Anyway, yeah, so you have all these different god pantheons and stuff like that, and usually they kind of maintain the same idea between them. There's always exceptions, but for example, that second Greco-Roman one, a lot of times the dark and the light ones are a little bit dissimilar from the other ones because the dark and light operate a little bit different than the three other elements. But so in the case of that first Greco-Roman one, the gods were all, or the second Greco-Roman one, whatever, they were all 2 times attack and 2 times HP. And then the light and the dark ones were 1.5 times HP recovery and attack. So a little bit less attack and HP, but they boosted their healing rate, which was, you heal from when you get attacked by the enemies and stuff like that. That's not the case for all of them. That Japanese series one, for instance, the dark Japanese... Who was the dark Japanese one? Cannot remember who was the dark one from that set. But anyway, the light one was Amaterasu, and her leader ability was automatically at the end of your turn, after matching orbs, she would heal you 10 times what her base recovery was. So she would automatically heal you without you needing to match heal orbs. Whereas the other ones from that set were completely different and stuff like that. The red one was Kagutsuchi, and Kagutsuchi dealt damage to all enemies at the end of your turn. That was 50 times his attack value or something like that. Anyway. So yeah, you get all these powerful pantheons and stuff like that. I think my original point here was that while it's called Puzzles and Dragons, you don't actually use a lot of dragons. I think I only use one legitimate dragon, and it's actually just you know what? On that note, the dark Japanese one was good God, Yomi, right? And I know that because wow, I suck at everything I'm doing right now. God, that was sad. I did everything wrong right there. I just want to point that out. Complete catastrophe. Oh look, the giant spider respawned again. Glad I caught that I was out of arrows right there, instead of, not reloading like I normally do. I need to get out of where this giant spider is so that I can not keep fighting it as it respawns immediately. It'd be cool if it would die. There we go. Yeah, so the only dragon I actually use as a leader, and I think the only legitimate dragon I use, is a dragon form of Yomi called Yomi Dragon. It is different from actual Yomi, though. It was also very difficult to get, and it is a very powerful leader. I do have a couple of other monsters that are, like, technically dragons, because most monsters can have, like, multiple types. So there there's the 5 colors, right? And then monsters also have a, like, subtype. So God is a subtype, for instance, and God is equally spread around all the different colors. But otherwise, the colors kind of have a focus. So green, for instance, its primary color, or typing, I should say, is bounce type monsters. But attackers are also seen frequently in green. Dark type monsters are known for usually being devils, and sometimes they're physical type monsters also. Light type monsters are usually healer types, but occasionally they're healers too, I think, actually. Or no, they're also often physical, was I meant to say. Blue is usually physical types, but is sometimes healers. Red is usually attacker types, but is sometimes devils, and so on. So most monsters, though, have, at least most powerful monsters, have 2 typings. So, like, Artemis, being a green god, for instance, is a god type, and then she's also a bounce type. Ares is a god type, but is also a attacker type, and so. For the more like unusual monsters, and a lot of monsters have like multiple forms. So for like Artemis, for instance, has like 3 forms now. I'm going to only focus on 2 of them. The first one is a god balance type, and the other one is a god devil type, I think, actually. So yeah, there's a little bit of like strange typing there. A couple of monsters actually have 3 types, which are the most powerful evolutions of various monsters and stuff like that. Because you can evolve your monsters also. Forgot to mention that. But yeah, so like a couple of my monsters are like, they're basically humans, but they consider them like dragon typing and stuff. So I do have a couple of dragons that don't look anything like dragons, but the game claims that they're dragons, in other words. I feel like I've done something wrong on this cycle. And I'm not sure exactly what, but something is definitely not right here. Oh, come on. Like, I went too slow and let the respawn happen or something, and now I'm just kind of, like, stuck, sandwiched between them. And I'm getting caught in the... I'm gonna die. Okay, you know what? I just checked. I do have a better heal. This whole time I've been trying to emergency heal with Exura Gran. And Exura Gran is not cutting it, obviously. But I do have Exura-san, I would imagine it's called, which I just tested, and it worked. Yeah, I normally, I patch myself up with Exuras, and then I was using Exura Gran for, oh crap, I'm about to die. But Exura Gran is not cutting it. Good to know, though, that I have Exura-san. Yeah, well, okay, so as I was saying before, I almost died. Yeah, it's good to know that I have that better heal, because I think a couple of times I've been, very close to dying and just kind of flailed at the keyboard. I noticed there I wasn't healing and I was, dying, so I was like, oh crap, I must be out of mana, because that's usually the reason why I'm dying. I don't have any mana, because, I'm an idiot and don't drink potions. Look at that bar. That's does it tell me a percent? Is there any way for me to check that? Nope. Okay. I mean, that looks like maybe 20%, 10% of that bar is filled. Yeah, it's just how I roll. Whatever. I wonder if I guess that update has probably been applied now. I guess that was the summer update, where they introduced that, those new spells. I imagine that's live now. I could get that. I forget what that spell's called. but you deal more damage the lower your HP is. That spell was made for me. Well, yeah, though, I feel like I was too slow or something in this looper, and now I'm getting stuck with, like, respawn from all the sides. That's why I got stuck with that giant spider, like, 3 times. I'm also further north than I actually thought I was. Boom. Yeah. Anyway, though, yeah, so, like, I love Puzzles and Dragons. Great game. I super enjoy playing it and everything like that. Unfortunately, it is the... Well, first, let me tell you something else, alright? So, when I first started to play it, I bought Magic Stones, which is the, like, in-game currency. And the Magic Stones are... It's $1 for 1 Magic Stone. Of course, if you buy them in larger amounts, you save. It's like, you buy 6 of them for $5 or something like that. 12 of them for $10, I think it is, too. And then, you know, it's a better deal the higher you go, obviously. 6 for 5, 12 for 10. That doesn't actually sound like a better deal. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so I purchase Magic Stones every now and then. There's what's called, like, Godfests, where they take, like, 2 or 3 of the Pantheons, and they put them in the rare egg machine. That's what it's called. And they put them at, like, 5 times their rate. So the Godfest will run for, like, maybe 1 day. And it'll be, like, Greco-Roman 2 and Japanese Series 1 gods at enhanced rates, kind of thing. I'm kind of, like... There we go. Trying not to, like, waste arrows on that crap. Get it? There we go. And, you know, like, right there, I probably shot an arrow at that ghost anyway, because I was trying to let it not waste the arrows on the ghost, and then I also definitely got hit by that bone beast multiple times in the process. I probably should have just wasted the arrow initially, but, yeah, you know, whatever. I make stupid, poor decisions. I am an idiot, in other words. So anyway, though, yeah, the Godfest comes out, and during the Godfest, too, there's monsters that are called Godfest exclusives. The Odins, for instance, are Godfest exclusives. You can only get them during Godfest. When I first started to play, there was not that many Godfest exclusives. I'm thinking there was 4. Green and blue Odins, and then light and dark Metatrons. The Archangel, for instance. Now there's so many different Godfest exclusives that all the Godfests now run 2 days, and they split which Godfest exclusives are in it each day, because there's so many of them. But anyway, yeah, I would like every now and then when there was a Godfest that came up that had something I really wanted in it, I would maybe drop like $5 or $10 on it. At one point, Google had sent me out an email that was like, and I probably should not say this in this video since I posted it up on YouTube, but whatever. Google had sent this email that was like, we reached a settlement in this lawsuit where people were claiming that, like, kids were making unauthorized purchases and that we had, like, not sufficiently put steps to prevent people from making unauthorized purchases. So we're going to provide you a list of all of the purchases you've made, and if any of them are unauthorized, we'll refund them. So I'm like, all right, let's see how big this list is. Because, like, it couldn't have been that much. I figure, like, in at that point, it was probably, like, about 1.5 years of me playing Pad. I'm like, in the 1.5 years that I've been playing this game, I think I've probably only spent, like, maybe max of $100. And I think that's probably too much in the first place, but, you know, $100 isn't bad. And I spent a whole bunch when I first started to play, because when I first started to play, I was an idiot. Let's go with that. Complete and absolute idiot, by the way. Don't spend a lot of money on Pad when you first start to play. Learn how the game works before you spend money. Do that. That's some first-hand advice. Anyway, so I was like, probably like $100, which is too much, but it's not that bad. It was pretty bad. it was not good. Ultimately, I was like, I don't think Google's gonna require me to prove that these were unauthorized. But I figure I'll just ask, and any amount of money that they give me back is good. And I mean, like, what are they gonna do? Like, prove it was unauthorized? They're gonna be like, oh, what do you want me to get? Like a testimony of the little kid that I said I lent my phone to, who like. So, but I didn't want to like be too extreme. So, and I figured my argument would be, if like Google had actually like confronted me, I would say, look, I only made the $1 purchases. Somebody else made all of the higher amount purchases. So I did not ask for any of the $1 purchases as a refund, and I skipped a couple of the higher ones. Not all of them, but I skipped some of them, under the assumption that, like, yeah, okay, occasionally I would have made like a $5 purchase or something, is what I figured. So then I requested a refund on everything else, and Google did not ask me anything. They just sent me a check for the $870 that I asked for refunds, which was like a soul crushing process, by the way. Like, all of the $1 purchases, and then several like $10, $5, and $5 purchases I did not ask for refunds for. But even then, it was still almost $900 US of purchases I made in Puzzles and Dragons. So it made me take stock of my life. Let me put it that way. I was like, oh man, dude, it's so easy to like get away on you though. Because you kind of, like, when you think about how much money you spend on things, I think this is probably why people that gamble end up with blowing up so much money. Because when you're thinking about, like, how much money did you spend, you don't think to yourself, well, I spent $18 at Walmart. You think, I bought socks and underwear at Walmart for $18. So when you don't get anything out of it, like when I spend $5 to roll in the Godfest and then didn't get one of the Godfest monsters, and then I just got some junk that I forgot about it, that doesn't like stay in my mind. So I'm like, oh, I only spent like, I'm trying to think of like, what did I buy in Pad last month? Well, I got Dark Metatron, and I got the like Archangel. I got Archangel Metatron, I got Archangel Gabriel, and I got like Archdemon Belial, and I got Susanoo. Okay, yeah. So I mean that was 4 things, so that's $20 right there. Okay. What I forget is that in the process of getting those, I rolled like 10 other things that were all crap that I just didn't like include in my mental calculations. So yeah, it was a bad experience for me. Let me put it that way. That's probably, like I said, that's like why gamblers probably spend so much money. Because also, like I said, you're rolling in a machine. It's not like you're actually being like, all right, it's $20 for Dark Angel Metatron. You're like, I'm gonna roll for $5 on this machine. Is it gonna give me Dark Angel Metatron? Is it gonna give me a monster I already have one of? Or is it gonna give me some like utterly pointless crap that I would never ever want to use? Oh look, pointless crap. Because the monsters have like in-game rarity. So like Metatron was one of the Dark Angel Metatron actually is a 6-star, which is the rarest ones from the machines. There's also 5 stars, and at the time 4 stars and 3 stars could also be gotten out of the machine. They took the 3 stars out though; they're no longer an option. But the 4 stars are still in the machine. I don't know what the like actual odds are, and I don't think anybody does. But you're much more likely to get a 4-star monster than a 5-star, and much more likely to get both of those than a 6-star. So, it's like, oh man, I gotta keep going to get something good from this Godfest. I already dropped 20 stones into it. I might as well drop another 5. And yeah, the next thing you know, you're out on the streets begging for cash. But yeah, so that happens. But anyway, the actual soul crushing thing that's like killing me with Pad is it's wrecking my confidence. I'm not like a super confident person in the first place. Like I spend a lot of my time like second guessing myself and being like concerned that I do things wrong and stuff like that. when somebody like disagrees with me, unless I'm really positively sure that I know what I'm talking about, or that I'm really positively sure that the person I'm talking to is like an idiot, I always think to myself like, well, maybe I'm wrong, kind of stuff. So like I'm not a confident person, but there's a few things that I am confident in, and like one of them is generally like my memory, the fact that I'm generally pretty intelligent, and that I'm like decent at video games. Those are the three things that I'm pretty confident in. And Puzzles and Dragons manages to basically destroy my confidence in all three fields. So like first of all, the thing is that like in higher level content in Puzzles and Dragons, where like when you start out playing, all right, you're going to be playing in the normal dungeons. In the normal dungeons, the monsters just hit you. They hit you for different numbers. The monsters have different amounts of HP, and the monsters have different amounts of like defense. You have to like break the defense to deal any amount of damage, kind of situation. So like a monster has like 1,000 defense and 1,000 HP, and if you hit it for 500 damage, you don't actually do any damage to it because it didn't get through its defense. If you hit it for 1,500 damage, you'll only deal 500 damage to it because the first 1,000 was blocked by its defense. See how that works? But anyway, in the normal dungeons, you're just dealing with monsters that have defense, HP, and attack power. That's all you're dealing with. There's like nothing else to go to it. But when you start running the higher level content, they're what are called technical dungeons. And in the technical dungeons, the monsters start doing things like they heal themselves, they multi-attack, they can like bind your monster so that your monster can't attack as long as it's bound, and also its skills can't be activated and stuff like that. Sometimes they throw up shields on themselves. Like a very common effect is just a status effect shield, because like your actives can poison the enemy so that every turn they take poison damage. Your actives can delay the enemy's turn, so instead of the enemy attacking every 2 turns or every 1 turn, it's got a 4-turn delay or stuff like that. So a lot of enemies put a shield up that prevents that from happening, but there's also like defensive shields that just reduce their incoming damage. There's shields that reduce damage from like a certain type. There's combo shields that say you have to hit like at least a combo 5, or otherwise the monster will absorb the damage you just inflicted. So it'll heal from it instead of actually being hurt from it. That's pretty annoying, by the way. So anyway, point is that when you get to this higher level content, you basically need to have a database of stats for the dungeons up, because you're running on such like a razor thin margin, you know. Like you're running with monsters, like enemy monsters that can, deal 200,000 damage in a single hit, which is more HP than any team is capable of making. So like if you get hit with that, you're just dead. You're dealing with monsters that can like make poison orbs, or can bind your whole team so that nobody on your team can attack and no activated skills can be used. So you just need to know what you're getting into with these dungeons, and if you don't, you'll kind of like lose, because that, like I said, you're on that like absolute knife's edge of one wrong move will kill you. And I never ever look the dungeons up, ever. It's like in Tibia, like once you get a certain point in Tibia, you're not going to just be like, yo, I'm like going through the Plains of Havoc, and here's this new hole. Let me just hop down it and see what happens. Nobody starts like a quest in Tibia without being like, hold on, let me look up on the wiki. If I was just like, yeah, I hit level 80, I can probably do Shadows of Yalahar, or In Service of Yalahar by myself. I'll go into that final room, and then with like Azurus or whatever his name is, and then just get obliterated. Like, you can't solo that crap, so you have to look it up. It's kind of the same mechanic, and I never do it. I'm constantly like, and enemies, like, they'll do different things when they're at different HP. So like an enemy he'll hit you for like 10,000 damage every turn. But when you get him underneath 50% HP, when you first put him underneath 50% HP, he'll throw a defensive shield up that reduces all of his incoming damage by 50%. And then after that first turn where he threw the shield up, every turn he'll hit you for 15,000 damage instead of 5,000 damage. And then when you get him underneath 20% of his maximum HP, he'll heal himself up 50% or something like that. But he'll only do that once. So you've like always got to check this stuff, and I'll never check. So I'll always just like randomly put enemies down to like 50% HP, and then they'll be like, oh, well, I'm under 50% HP, super punch you in the face, and then I'll just lose. All the time, I'll lose. So today, and as I'm actually going to start heading back at this point, I've been like a week ago, this dungeon comes up. They're only up for like a day. It was called like Liberty Geist Descends or something like that. And I tried and failed so many times. I failed all day, and it was 50 stamina an attempt each time I tried. I have a maximum of like 240 stamina, and 50 stamina is, not an insignificant amount. I mean, 1 stamina regenerated every 3 minutes kind of situation. I failed all day. I did nothing but fail at this dungeon. So it's up again today, and I just failed at it like 8 times today so far. I've just done nothing but fail at Liberty Geist again. I don't understand what's wrong with me. And at this point, I don't even need to look up the dungeon. I've experienced all of the monsters in the dungeon. There's 7 of them. I've experienced all 7 of them so many times that I know exactly what they do and what I need to do. And I just don't do it. I just don't do it. Like the fourth monster has a resolve effect. And resolve effects say that as long as the resolve effect is still up, it can't be killed. No matter how much damage you deal to it, it'll just drop to 1 HP. But the resolve effect has like a threshold where it's like Liberty Bay. It's like, so he specifically is like a 70%. So as long as he has more than 70% of his maximum HP, his resolve effect kicks in. Other monsters have like a 50% resolve, and other monsters actually have a 30% resolve. But anyway, all you have to do is deal enough damage to him to get him underneath 70% of his HP. And then the next time you attack, his resolve effect won't kick in, and you can kill him. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten to him and just been like, boom, deal super damage to him. Deal like 50 million damage, knock him down to 1 HP, and then he's a monster that when he's at 1 HP, he hits you for an enormous amount of damage. Other monsters will heal themselves. He just will kill me in one shot at that point. I've died to him so many times because of that. The boss has a combo shield, and you have to hit at least a 5 or a 6 combo, and I just didn't do that. It's not like I don't even know what happened. I'm looking at the symbol. I can see he's got a combo shield, and I just didn't do it. I'm just too stupid to play the game. It's a soul crushing process because I'm like, wow, I'm not nearly as good at video games as I thought apparently, and also I'm clearly an idiot at this point. Soul crushing. All right, folks, that was that. As always, like, favorite, comment, subscribe, check me out on Patreon and Twitter, and I will see you folks later.